Did you know nearly half of all heart attacks in people over 70 happen without any chest pain at all? The truth is, many of the things we do without thinking, like how we get out of bed when we take our medications, or even how long we sit during the day, can take a much greater toll on our bodies than they used to. These aren't dramatic mistakes or medical emergencies. At first glance, they're subtle, easily overlooked routines that can slowly increase your risk of sudden health events like heart attacks, strokes, falls, and infections. And because they often seem harmless, most people don't recognize the danger until it's too late. But here's the good news: with a few simple changes and a better understanding of how your body works, now you can protect yourself and continue enjoying life with more energy, safety, and peace of mind. In this video, we'll uncover 5 hidden triggers that can lead to sudden health emergencies after age 70. What they are, how they affect you, and most importantly, what you can do today to reduce your risk. Some of these may surprise you, but each one is backed by real science and real stories. Stay with me until the end, because the last one might seem like the most harmless, but could turn out to be the most important. But here's the part that most people over 70 don't realize: when your heart whispers instead of screams, the damage can still be just as devastating. And what's even more dangerous is how easy it is to explain away the early signs. A little pressure in your chest, maybe it's gas, feeling tired after walking to the mailbox. Just age right, not necessarily. As we grow older, our bodies don't always follow the textbook version of what a heart attack looks like. In fact, older adults, especially those with diabetes, high blood pressure, or a history of smoking, are far more likely to experience what's known as a silent heart attack, where symptoms are so subtle they're often overlooked entirely. And by the time something shows up on a scan or blood test, the heart muscle may already be damaged. Let's take someone like Evelyn, a 77-year-old grandmother who spent her mornings gardening and afternoons helping at the local library. She considered herself active, even healthy for her age, but over the course of a few weeks, she started feeling unusually winded after climbing the stairs. No chest pain, just a strange squeezing sensation in her jaw, and a kind of tiredness that lingered even after a good night's sleep. She chalked it up to getting older, maybe not drinking enough water. One evening, while carrying groceries inside, she felt dizzy and had to sit down. Her daughter insisted on taking her to urgent care just to be safe. A quick EKG and blood test revealed something shocking. Evelyn had experienced a minor heart attack, likely days or even weeks before. The fatigue, the jaw tension, the dizziness, it had all been her body waving a red flag she didn't recognize. Thankfully, the damage was limited. She was started on heart medication, enrolled in a light cardiac rehab program, and today she's back to gardening, but with a new appreciation for the quiet ways the body asks for help. That's the unsettling truth. Nearly 50% of heart attacks in adults over 70 are classified as silent, according to the American Heart Association. And if you've had one without knowing it, your risk of a second potentially fatal event skyrockets. The signs are often so ordinary, so easy to dismiss, that many people don't even bring them up during routine checkups. But symptoms like unexplained fatigue, shortness of breath with mild activity, light nausea, or discomfort in the neck, shoulders, back, or jaw could be your heart's subtle way of saying it's in trouble. And unlike dramatic heart attacks where immediate treatment is the norm, silent ones often go untreated, leaving the heart weakened, vulnerable, and less able to bounce back. So, what can you do? The most important step is to trust your instincts and your body, not just your expectations. If something feels off, if you feel more tired than usual, if you're winded climbing the same stairs you used to breeze through, or if you notice new discomfort that doesn't quite make sense, don't write it off as just age. Aging doesn't have to mean breathlessness or fatigue. Sometimes those changes mean something deeper is going on, and early detection is everything. The good news is we have simple, painless tools that can give us powerful insight into your heart's health. A quick EKG basic blood work or a cardiac stress test can often reveal problems before they become irreversible. These aren't complicated procedures, They're often covered by Medicare and can be done in a primary care office. Even better, they give you the chance to intervene before a second more serious event occurs. Medications can be adjusted. Exercise routines can be tailored. Diets can be tweaked to reduce strain on the heart. But none of that can happen if the first signs go unrecognized. And that's where your power lies, not in having all the answers, but in knowing when to ask questions. Have you been more tired lately? Is something just off? Do you feel breathless doing things that used to be easy? These are not small questions. They could be the keys to adding years, not just to your life, but to your independence and peace of mind. Because as subtle as silent heart attacks are, their consequences aren't. They can steal your energy, your stamina, and, in worst cases, your life. The best way to protect yourself. Be proactive, not reactive. Mention any strange or new symptoms to your doctor, even if they seem small. Keep track of how you feel after meals during light exercise or while resting. Use a journal if needed. Ask about getting a baseline EKG or heart health screening, especially if you have risk factors like high cholesterol, high blood pressure, or a family history of heart disease. Most importantly, don't be afraid of looking cautious. Be proud of it. Because what you're really doing is protecting your freedom, your mobility, your ability to spend time with family without fear of the unknown. Evelyn once said, "I used to think I was being dramatic, but it turns out I was just finally listening to my body, and that saved my life." Her story is a reminder to all of us that sometimes the most serious health threats don't come with flashing lights or pounding alarms. They come in quiet signals, a yawn that feels too heavy a walk, that feels too long, a breath that takes too much effort. Don't ignore them. These small clues could be your first line of defense against a major health crisis. Because in the end, a silent heart attack may not make noise, but it always leaves a mark. Catching it early doesn't just improve your chances of survival, it helps you live stronger, longer, and with the confidence that you're in control of your own well-being. And that, more than anything, is what true health after 70 is all about. Another danger that quietly threatens the well-being of older adults is something that often happens in just a few seconds, but can change the course of your life in an instant. It's called postural or orthostatic hypotension, a sudden drop in blood pressure when you stand up. Now, that might sound technical or even harmless, but make no mistake for adults over 70. This hidden condition can lead to devastating falls, broken bones, hospital stays, and a long, painful road to recovery. What makes it so dangerous is not just how common it is, but how easily it can sneak up on you. One moment you're sitting at the table or lying in bed. The next, you stand up quickly. The room spins. Your legs feel weak, and before you can grab hold of anything, you're on the ground. Many people don't even realize what happened. They may assume they got up too fast or skipped a meal, but in reality, it's a sign that your circulatory system isn't adjusting properly and your brain isn't getting the blood it needs. Let me introduce Frank, a 75-year-old former bus driver who had always prided himself on being steady and strong. One morning he got out of bed too fast and felt a wave of dizziness. He stumbled, but caught himself. A few days later, it happened again, this time in the kitchen. As he turned to reach for a mug, he collapsed, hitting his head on the counter. His wife found him moments later dazed but conscious. At the hospital, doctors discovered he'd been experiencing repeated episodes of orthostatic hypotension, likely triggered by a combination of mild dehydration, aging blood vessels, and a mix of medications for blood pressure and prostate issues. None of these factors alone had seemed dangerous, but together they were a recipe for instability. Frank had no idea his body was struggling to keep up. Thankfully, with a few changes in how he managed his hydration adjustments to his medications and some simple precautions like sitting at the edge of the bed for a minute before standing, he regained his confidence and avoided further injury. But his story is not unique. In fact, according to the National Institutes of Health, as many as 30% of adults over 70 experience some form of postural hypotension. And yet most don't know the name for it, let alone realize how serious it can become. The greatest risk isn't just the dizzy spell itself, it's what comes after the fall, the fracture, the time in a hospital bed, and the loss of independence that follows. For older adults, a single fall can be life-altering. It's not just the broken hip or bruised ribs, it's the emotional toll, the fear of falling again, the reluctance to move freely, and the slow decline that often follows immobilization. What's frustrating is that this entire cycle can often be prevented if the warning signs are taken seriously and the right steps are put in place. So, what should you watch for? If you've ever felt lightheaded or unsteady right after standing, especially in the morning or after sitting for a while, don't brush it off. That fleeting moment of imbalance could be your body's quiet cry for help. Ask yourself, do you feel your heart race after standing? Do you notice blurred vision, a sense of floating, or even a brief blackout when you rise too quickly? These aren't just minor annoyances. They are signs that your body may be struggling to regulate blood flow to your brain. And while aging naturally affects circulation, that doesn't mean you have to accept these symptoms as just part of getting older. In fact, small adjustments can make a big difference. Start by rising slowly. Sit up first. Let your feet hang over the edge of the bed for 30 to 60 seconds, then stand. Stay hydrated throughout the day, as even mild dehydration can make your blood pressure dip. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist about the medications you're taking. Some common prescriptions, including those for blood pressure, anxiety, or even over-the-counter sleep aids, can make orthostatic hypotension worse. You might benefit from medication timing changes, dosage adjustments, or simply more awareness about how your body reacts. Compression socks can help too. They support blood flow in your legs and reduce pooling, which helps stabilize your pressure when you stand. And if you live alone or have experienced a recent fall, consider installing grab bars in your bathroom, using a cane or walker temporarily, or wearing a medical alert device that can call for help if you do fall. These are not signs of weakness, they're tools of wisdom and self-protection. Frank eventually said, "I thought I was being careful, but I didn't know what I didn't know. Once I learned what was really going on, I realized I had more control than I thought." His experience is a powerful reminder that sometimes the most dangerous things aren't dramatic. They're the quiet, recurring patterns we ignore until it's too late. So, if your balance feels off, if you've had even one close call, take it seriously. Speak up. Be curious. Ask your doctor about checking your blood pressure while lying down, sitting, and standing. This simple test can reveal hidden problems. And remember, preventing a fall isn't just about protecting your bones, it's about protecting your freedom, your confidence, and your future. After all, it's not weakness to pause before you rise. It's strength. It's awareness. And sometimes it's the one thing standing between you and a life-changing injury. Just as troubling and even more overlooked is the silent threat of deep vein thrombosis, or DVT. This condition, which occurs when a blood clot forms in a deep vein, usually in the legs, can develop with little or no warning. For older adults, especially those who spend long periods sitting or have underlying health conditions, DVT is a risk that builds quietly over time. And what makes it so dangerous isn't just the clot itself. It's what happens if that clot breaks loose and travels to your lungs, causing a pulmonary embolism. That's a medical emergency that can kill within minutes. Yet most people don't realize how subtle the signs can be or how preventable this condition often is. Let's take Victor, 83, had just returned from a long flight after visiting family. He noticed a dull ache in his lower leg but brushed it off as stiffness. Days later, he collapsed suddenly at home. A blood clot had formed in his leg, traveled to his lungs, and caused a fatal pulmonary embolism. There were no dramatic signs, just a silent threat building beneath the surface. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC), up to 900,000 Americans are affected by venous thromboembolism, which includes DVT and pulmonary embolism each year, and the risk increases dramatically after age 70. One major study in the New England Journal of Medicine found that people in their 70s are nearly 10 times more likely to develop DVT than those in their 40s. And yet the early symptoms are so mild that they often go unnoticed or get blamed on something else: muscle strain, poor circulation, or even just old legs. But a DVT isn't something to guess about. It needs attention because if left untreated, it can end a life before anyone realizes what's happening. So what should you watch for? Pay attention to unexplained swelling, especially in just one leg. A warmth or tenderness in the calf or thigh that's new. A feeling of heaviness, aching, or tightness that doesn't go away. And if you suddenly feel short of breath, lightheaded, or have chest pain, don't wait. These could be signs that a clot has moved, and every second counts. Call 911 or get to the emergency room. Fortunately, there are simple life-saving actions you can take to reduce your risk. First and foremost, move. Even small movements can keep blood flowing and reduce your chances of clotting. If you're sitting for a long period, like during a long car ride or hours in front of the TV, make a habit of standing up and walking around every hour. Wiggle your toes, stretch your ankles, and pump your calves if standing isn't an option. Hydration is key too. When you're dehydrated, your blood thickens, increasing the chance of clotting. So sip water regularly throughout the day, even if you're not thirsty. Compression socks can also help. They gently squeeze the legs to support circulation and prevent blood from pooling. These aren't just for long flights. They're helpful anytime you're less mobile than usual. And talk to your doctor about whether you might be at increased risk. Conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, or a history of cancer can elevate your chances of clotting. If you're taking hormone therapy or certain medications, ask whether you should be monitored more closely. Some people may even benefit from low-dose blood thinners, but that's a decision only your physician can help you make. George now wears compression socks, sets a timer to remind him to move, and drinks more water each day. He's also more aware of what his body is telling him, and he doesn't ignore subtle changes. I used to think slowing down was part of aging, he said. Now I realize standing still too long was the real danger. His experience shows how silent threats can build quietly without drama until the day they strike. But they don't have to win. Not if you stay ahead of them. So ask yourself, today, have you been sitting more than usual? Do you feel heaviness in one leg? Have you been less active lately due to weather, illness, or pain? These might seem like small details, but when it comes to blood clots, prevention is everything. Because you may not feel a clot forming, you may not see it coming. But if you stay mindful, move regularly, and listen to the small signs, you just might stop something deadly before it ever has the chance to start. Equally dangerous, but even more underestimated, is the threat of sepsis, a condition that can turn a mild infection into a life-threatening emergency in a matter of hours. Most people think of infections as things that come with obvious symptoms, fever, pain, swelling, but in older adults, infections often start quietly. And when your immune system isn't as strong as it used to be, even a minor urinary tract infection, a small cut, or a case of bronchitis can spiral into sepsis before anyone realizes what's happening. Sepsis is the body's extreme overreactive response to an infection. Instead of fighting the germs in a targeted way, the immune system turns on itself, causing inflammation throughout the body. If it spreads to the bloodstream and reaches vital organs, it can cause permanent damage, loss of function, or even death. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention report that more than 1.7 million Americans develop sepsis each year, and people over 65 are 5 times more likely to be hospitalized because of it. Yet the symptoms are often vague, making it hard to recognize until it's too late. Take Marilyn. 80 thought she was recovering from a minor cold when she began feeling weak and chilled. She skipped meals and stayed in bed, assuming it would pass. But when her son stopped by and noticed she seemed confused and disoriented, he rushed her to the ER. She was diagnosed with sepsis. Her mild infection had become life-threatening. She survived, but recovery was long and difficult. Just one day earlier, she said, could have made all the difference. For older adults, the first signs may be as subtle as fatigue, mental fog, chills, or just a feeling that something isn't right. And since those symptoms can overlap with many common age-related issues, it's easy to assume it's nothing serious. But in reality, those small signs might be your only warning, and timing is everything. According to research published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, early treatment of sepsis can reduce the risk of death by more than 50%. That's why knowing the early red flags and acting on them can literally be the difference between life and death. So, what should you look for? Pay attention to sudden changes in energy, appetite, or alertness. If someone seems unusually sleepy, disoriented, or withdrawn, especially following an illness or infection, don't wait. If there's a sudden drop in body temperature, fast breathing, or a rapid heartbeat, seek help immediately. These can all be signs that the body is fighting more than it can handle. And if you've recently had a surgery, an injury, or a diagnosed infection of any kind, be especially vigilant. Prevention starts with awareness, but it also depends on being proactive with treatment. Don't ignore minor infections. If you feel worse instead of better after starting antibiotics, or if new symptoms appear, call your doctor or go to urgent care. Keep track of your temperature and energy levels. And if you or your loved one has chronic health conditions like diabetes, kidney disease, or COPD, know that these can increase your vulnerability to sepsis. Being informed gives you the power to protect yourself. Lorraine now keeps a list of her medications, tracks her symptoms in a simple notebook, and speaks up if anything feels off. Her daughter also learned to trust her gut, realizing that even if it seems small, a change in behavior can be a big red flag. I almost didn't say anything, Lorraine admitted later, but something inside me just didn't feel right, and that was the signal I had to listen to. Her experience shows us that your body doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. And in those whispers are the clues that can save your life. After 70, it's not about being afraid, it's about being attentive. Knowing how fast a mild issue can escalate into something severe gives you an edge. It helps you act quickly. Ask the right questions and protect the years of independence and strength you've worked so hard to preserve. Because with sepsis, as with so many silent threats, what you don't feel right away is often the most dangerous. But when you know what to watch for and when to take action, you take back control. You don't wait for a crisis. You prevent it. Finally, perhaps the most quietly dangerous threat of all is something so routine, so woven into daily life that it's often overlooked entirely: medication mismanagement. At first glance, taking pills might seem like the simplest part of staying healthy. But after 70, the way your body processes medication begins to change. Your liver and kidneys slow down. Your metabolism shifts, and the same drug that worked for years might suddenly hit harder or linger longer. Add in multiple prescriptions, over-the-counter remedies, and daily supplements, and you've got a recipe for confusion, interaction, and even hospitalization. According to the CDC, more than 350,000 older adults are hospitalized each year due to adverse drug events, and the majority of these incidents could have been prevented. The issue isn't just the number of medications. It's how they combine conflict or amplify each other's side effects, especially when prescribed by different specialists who may not be coordinating care. Let me tell you about Ruth, age 82, a warm, witty retired nurse who took pride in managing her health. Over the years, she had been prescribed medications for high blood pressure, arthritis, acid reflux, and sleep problems. On top of that, she took daily vitamins, a herbal supplement her friend recommended, and a nighttime pain reliever she picked up at the drugstore. Slowly, she began to feel tired during the day. She lost her appetite and found herself feeling dizzy when she got up from the couch. One afternoon, she nearly fainted in the kitchen. Her son convinced her to bring every bottle, prescription, and supplement to her primary care doctor. What they discovered shocked her. 2 of her medications were interacting in a way that increased the risk of low blood pressure and dizziness, while one of her supplements was interfering with her blood pressure medication. Her doctor made several adjustments, simplified her regimen, and referred her to a pharmacist who helped organize her medications with a weekly pill planner. Within days, Ruth felt clearer, stronger, and safer in her own body. Her story is a reminder that even when you're doing everything right, things can go wrong when you don't have the full picture. This is what experts call polypharmacy, taking multiple medications that may not all be necessary or safe together. Nearly 40% of people over 65 take 5 or more medications every day, and with each additional drug, the risk of side effects, confusion, and dangerous interactions increases. But here's the good news. Medication safety doesn't require a medical degree. It starts with simple, consistent habits. Bring a full list of everything you take, including prescriptions, vitamins, supplements, and over-the-counter products, to every medical appointment. Don't assume your doctor knows what the other one prescribed. Ask your pharmacist to review your medication list for possible interactions. Use a weekly pill organizer to keep things simple and avoid double dosing. And pay close attention to your body if you start to feel drowsy, dizzy, unusually fatigued, or mentally foggy. Don't just assume it's part of aging. It might be your body reacting to something it can't process the way it used to. Speak up, ask questions, get clarity. Ruth now brings a printed list of her medications to every doctor's visit. She uses a morning alarm to remind herself to take her pills and keeps a small journal of how she feels each day. That small effort has given her back a sense of control and helped her avoid the frightening spiral she once faced. I used to think I had to accept the side effects, she says. Now I realize I have the right to ask to change to feel better. Her words capture what so many older adults need to hear. You are not at the mercy of your medications. You are the manager of them. The truth is, no one knows your body better than you. And while medications can be powerful tools for health and longevity, they need to be used wisely, thoughtfully, and in partnership with your care team. After 70, small changes in your medication routine can mean the difference between independence and instability, between peace of mind and constant uncertainty, between a quiet emergency and a steady, safe path forward. So don't leave it to chance. Stay curious, stay organized, and most importantly, stay involved, because your health doesn't just depend on what you take, but how you take it. And when you step back and look at all of these silent threats together, from hidden heart attacks and sudden blood pressure drops to unnoticed blood clots, creeping infections, and quiet medication overload, it becomes clear that thriving after 70 isn't just about reacting to problems as they come. It's about recognizing the quiet patterns before they turn into crises. Because the truth is, most health emergencies don't strike out of the blue, they whisper first. They show up as a skipped walk, a moment of dizziness, a strange ache, or a nagging sense that something just isn't right. And the power lies in noticing those whispers, taking a few extra seconds to rise from a chair, asking your doctor about a strange fatigue, bringing all your medications to your next appointment. These aren't big dramatic acts, but they're the kind of small, consistent choices that protect your independence, your strength, and your peace of mind. You don't have to live in fear, you just have to live with awareness, and that awareness is your greatest asset. So ask yourself, did any part of today's message feel familiar? Was there a symptom, a story, or a habit that made you pause and think, that could be me? If so, that's not a reason to worry. It's an invitation to take action. Because staying ahead of these silent triggers is not about being paranoid. It's about being empowered. It's about choosing to be the kind of person who listens, learns, and leads their own health journey. And if you're already doing that by paying attention, by being here, by educating yourself, you're already one step ahead. If this video helped you in any way, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, not just for yourself, but for someone else who might need this quiet reminder too. And we'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and let us know what stood out to you the most, or what change you're planning to make starting today. Your story could be the spark that helps someone else avoid a fall, catch a hidden symptom, or ask that one life-saving question. Thank you for spending this time with us, and we'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay strong, and stay curious.